Hello and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this week's episode of ATRAM webinar series. I am Kathleen Francisco, Wealth Associate, and of course, your host for today. Now, women can face unique challenges when it comes to managing their finances and planning for their financial security. And that is why, in celebration of International Women's Month, we bring you a special webinar that will discuss some of the issues women encounter and how women can be best prepared for their financial future. Now, this webinar aims to empower women with valuable investment knowledge that they need today to help them to be in control of their finances tomorrow. So if you have any questions at all, you may send them as early as now by clicking on the question and answer button that you see below the screen. Now, before we begin, I'd like to let you know that this session will be recorded and that copies will be disseminated as well as posted on our social media platforms. So also, please don't forget to visit our website, www.atram.com.ph, for a more detailed information about all the funds that we offer. Now, if you have any friends who you think would love this webinar but are unable to attend, please feel free to share the YouTube replay of this session and, of course, visit our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studio. All you have to do is scan that QR code that you see on the screen right now, and you can visit our official social media pages. Now, we would also like to invite you to join Atram's official Viber community group, which is hashtag AtramPH community, to stay updated on the latest announcements, advisories, or reminders. All you have to do again is scan the QR code or visit the link on your screen so that you can get a chance to win Atram merchandise. So exciting, no? Okay, so we would also like this webinar to be as very interactive as possible. So please do not hesitate to send your questions down there in the question and answer tab all throughout the webinar. Don't be shy, guys, ha? That's okay lang. Each question that you send, here's the exciting part, each question that you send is a raffle entry for a chance to win limited Atram merchandise. So guys, just send in your questions. Don't be shy. All the winners will be announced at the end of the webinar. So please make sure to stay until the end. And I'm telling you, it's really going to be worth it. You'll learn a lot. We will also be wrapping up with a quick feedback survey after the webinar. So we do hope that you can share all your thoughts about the session that we had today, and of course, how we can further improve our webinar series. So, without further ado, let me briefly introduce our speaker this morning. And it's going to be Atram's Managing Director and Head of Atram Wealth, my boss, Marcy Kohchet-Chua. Marcy is a certified chartered wealth manager, and her recent 17 years out of 26 in the banking industry has been spent in the wealth management field, from sales leadership, branch management, investment products management, and now wealth management. She is passionate about helping her clients in navigating the world of investing, which has become even more complex post the global financial crisis and, of course, now the pandemic. So her experience has shown that the partnership of clients with experts will always result to keeping investments safer, more risk managed, and always prepared for growth. And that's what we like, right? So let's welcome Marcy. Hello, Marcy.
Hello and good morning,
Hi.
Kat. Good morning.
Good
And
morning.
good
Good morning.
yes, and good morning to all of the women who are participating in our webinar this morning. As we all know, we are celebrating the International Women's Month. And as I was preparing, in fact, for this webinar, I was reflecting on how women have been treated as if we were a niche demographic, no, in financial services. We actually account for kalahati of the population, hindi ba? And we all know that women are largely responsible for their family's financial decision making. Hindi ba madalas yung mga, if you're already married, or even, if you're the panganay in the family and you're already working, you're contributing to the family's expenses and all of that, you are very much involved no, in making the decisions for the family. And we hold the majority, ito na, I'm sure you know all of these. We hold the majority of consumer spending power, right? We account for a huge percentage of the spending that happens in the economy. Diba? We are anything but a niche market. Research shows that globally, women put a significant amount of money back into the economy. No? With all of this economic power, you might expect that women, we feel on top of our financial lives. Pero you know what? Unfortunately, hindi talaga yun ang case, no? Research also shows how we feel about money, no? Let's take a look at the numbers. These numbers on how we feel about money might seem disheartening to everyone, okay? But don't be, no? Because in ATRAM, we believe that education, goal setting, planning can turn the tide, no? So very significant. Look at all of those percentages talking about anxiety, feeling uncomfortable, not even being ready or confident about retirement. No, very specific to women, okay? Women's obligations kasi often differ from those of men, no? So the truth is, we should really have very candid conversations about money in order to acknowledge that fact. Has to be very candid. No, we have to be able to talk to someone if it's possible, you know, to someone who is really a professional financial advisor as much as possible, should actually be able to express what is happening from a financial life, no, for each one of us. For one, women provide a disproportionate amount of caregiving. Hindi ba? Lagi tayong merong kailangang alagaan at some point in our lives, even in our young life, no? There are some expectations that we will be extending and participating in caregiving, no? In managing households, in caring for our aging parents, no? In caring even for our siblings, no? Kung meron tayong mga kapatid na mas nakakabata sa atin, may expectation sa atin ng ating parents that at a certain point, pagka-adult na tayo, we are earning also our keep, no? They expect that we will be participating even in taking care of our siblings, no? And much of this, in reality, leads to a reduction of income. And sadly, and sometimes, or maybe even more often these days, a reduction in savings. No, caregiving means putting careers on hold. No, I'm sure meron tayong mga ganyang experiences. We are preventing, o hindi man tayo nag-put on hold ng career, we are preventing a smooth career trajectory. No, and pay increases because of the reduced work hours, because we want to just step back, we won't accept to take a bigger responsibility at work, even if it means a promotion for us, because natatakot tayo that it will take away what we had already personally committed to our families, no, to do the caregiving responsibilities, no, and that means lang, you know, that's the reality of things. But the reality also is that because of the modernization in healthcare, in the way we eat, you know, we get very educated on that. There is also on the average statistics that show that women live about 5 years longer than men. Oh my goodness, anong ibig sabihin nito for the women? Ang ibig sabihin nito, we will outlive. We will outlive our partners. O yung mga nag-iisip mag-asawa na dyan, or already married, no? You're already married, you have families, you're just about to start your family, you are starting your family. The average age that you will live longer is about 5 years, could be even longer. Can you imagine? Paano yun pag wala kang savings? Paano yun kung hindi ka nakapagtabi even for yourself? No? If the time comes when you already have an empty nest in the family at nauna ang iyong husband to go, what will happen to you? No? So an important reality that needs to be recognized, embraced, discussed, and planned for, right? So with these conditions, with all of these considerations, investing is an important step and untapped opportunity to help you catch up and make up for the income you are not necessarily producing on your own. And let's be real. Let's be real, mga friends, no? Mga girlfriends ko today. The truth is, yung mga savings account nyo, hindi po yan investment. No, you are setting aside money in your savings account because that should be your emergency cash. Emergency cash would usually have a formula of about good for 6, 9, or 12 months in the year. Ano ang definition? Emergency cash is equivalent to kung nawalan ka ng trabaho at medyo may kailangan kang period para maghanap ng bagong trabaho, ano yung pera na pwede mong kunin at gamitin to pay for basic necessities. That is for emergency cash purposes. That's not investment. Investment and emergency cash are not the same thing, right? So investments is really intended so that you now have a kakampi, you have another source of returns, of passive income, para you will be helped to prepare for your future. No? Para kung sakaling ikaw ay already mag-isa, you have outlived everybody, you know that even if you had stopped working, there is an investment nest egg that is helping give you passive income. No? So that is what we're after. I speak to a lot of women, no, about their money on a regular basis, and this is usually what I say. You have to think of money as a vehicle for realizing your own personal vision of success, your own definition of it, that future version of you, no? For caring, that includes caring for yourself and bringing stability and security against the inevitable obstacles, especially for the time when you will come to a point where you will no longer be able to produce your own income as much as you are doing it now. Potentially pa rin na meron paling reason, no, na you're producing income, but it's not necessarily as much as you are able to do now that you are young, or even in this period that you are carving out your career, you're building your own business, and all of those things that you can do while you're active and young. No? So how do you do it? How do you take this step of investing? Oh, I will not assume that everybody in the audience is unfamiliar with investing, but there's always a very important element in order for you to do it and position you for success. What is that? You have to be very clear about your goal. And that goal cannot be a description. That goal has to be an amount of money. No? Define your North Star. What is your investment North Star? What is it that you should do when you are defining an amount in that future? So let's say if you were to stop working completely, no, and live your happiest, most relaxed stage of life, no, not worrying about money, how much should that money be at your fingertips every month bago mong it is now a new cash flow that you will be counting on? What is that? No? So compute it. Let's say it's 100,000 a month. Let's say in 100,000 a month, 20 years from now, you will stop working and you are imagining every month merong pumapasok sa'yo or merong kang maa-access na 100,000 a month. Okay? And what is that in a year? That's 1.2 million a year. Now, at a realistic average return, annual compounded annual rate of return, no, on investments of 6%, no, you will likely need a nest egg of about 20,000 pesos to have that 100,000 a month. Simple lang. Simple thinking lang muna tayo, no? And your goal is to actually build from now that you are earning money, you want to build that 20 million. Okay, we're not talking about ngayon pa lang you will earn na that much. Okay, we're not talking about earning the 100,000 now. You're going to start receiving the 100,000 20 years from now. Magkano ang iyong nest egg? 20 million pesos. So the question is, paano mo i-build yung 20 million pesos na yan? No? So, if you now have that very clear, what's the next step? Look at all the sources of money that you are currently that is currently available at your fingertips right now. For example, what is the income that you get from your salary, right? What is the extra, the bonuses that you get at the end of the year, for example, or out of your, you have 13-month pay. Maybe at within the first quarter of the following year, you will get some form of performance bonus. Maybe you also get some variable incentive. Maybe you are in the part of a business that generates variable incentives. If you actually look at all of that together, right? Those are all of your sources of cash flow at this point in time, right? And you also take a look at saan ba ginagamit ang money ko? Reasons to spend. Lumalabas yung pera on some regular basis. And there could be many, many reasons. It could even be as important as nag-start ka ng magbayad ng regular premiums to an insurance coverage. Importante yan, no? But importante ba yung every month nagsha-shopping ka? Every month meron kang labas, meron kang, discretionary spending that you do? Meron ka palang binabayaran na credit card, no? So meron kang debt, meron kang loans, lahat yan titingnan mo. Because the biggest part of this equation is to determine meron ka bang natitira in order to start building the 20 million. And whatever that amount is, can you imagine what investments can do with it? Right? So kung meron kang itinatabi at yan ay iyong ini-invest, no? You already started investing. If you are already doing the investing, that multiplier that comes from investing is your friend, right? Because as you are setting aside that amount of money with regularity, with consistency, and of course, I will pause at this point. This is with the assumption na yung mga loans mo, yung mga debt mo, na-reduce mo na yan, if not zeroed out. No? Wala ka nang iniintindi that actually chases you for that continues to charge you more interest. No? Because those interests, kahit your investments will not be a match to them. Malalaki, masyadong malalaki. No? So it's important you've taken that from the equation, the debt part, and everything now that you're saving is really meant to help you build your target na 20 million pesos. No? So investing multiplies the amount. It is not about leaving it in the bank where you can hardly get any returns, no, these days. It will not help you in multiplying. That is emergency cash, as we already said. But investing is your friend and your partner and ally. No? Kakampi. I would encourage having also a very good, trustworthy financial mentor. I am not talking about somebody who will just talk to you about, keep buying insurance and all of that, but really come together with you and join you in the journey to realize your 20 million target amount or whatever that math told you will be your nest egg and the building that you will do over the time period that you're allowing. No? Have that partner with you, have that discussion very, very clearly with each other, very honestly with each other, and somebody that will handhold you through the journey. It's very, very important. No? And because you have that person, you have also somebody that will help celebrate every time you reach your milestones, no? Every time that you have hit an annual goal, oy, nakapagtabi ka pala of so much, at yung tinabi mo, what is the total return already on those investments, no? Somebody that will celebrate it and review your goal and take a look at, are you on track? Are there opportunities to even further improve the decisions that you are making? Is there a new move on the investment that you need to do in order to keep you right on site and towards your North Star in investing, ang iyong specific goal and the nest egg you want to build, no? So in Atram, we are a source of reliable information. So you will have a financial advisor partner, a professional taking care of you. But Atram has also a wealth of resources and information that you can use, that can be your guide, that can help you in making decisions. And if you are in fact engaging with us on a regular basis, you visit our sites, you check what's happening in the markets through the information that we provide you, you're off already to a good start. But it's always good to also have a partner. And all together, all of us, as we help you, as we work with you in making good decisions about investing, we want to make sure that you have us and we can all work together so that you can take on tomorrow very, very well. And that's my sharing today. Back to you, Kat.
Okay, thank you so much, Marcy.
You're
Wow,
so welcome.
that was so insightful. And I'm sure, like, actually, we have some questions coming in already. So, guys, please don't be shy to ask your questions to Marcy and she'll answer them. We'll discuss them later. So,
Yes.
actually, Marcy is totally right because Atram does have a wide range of investment products, and our capabilities span across several asset classes meant to service the different investment objectives of each individual. And with these, it is with great pride that we announce that Atram has actually recently won Best Investment Solutions Provider Philippines 2022 from International Business Magazine Award and the World Business Outlook Awards. So for today's session, we hope that we have somehow assisted you to hashtag take on tomorrow by investing your hard-earned money with an award-winning fund house. Now, at this point, I think this is what we're all waiting for. We'll get down and dirty into the details. We'd like to move on with the live questions from our audience. And I actually can see that we have a few coming in. Marcy, are you there? Shall we begin?
Yes. Let me just try to turn on my video.
Yes, we'd love to see your beautiful face.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
All
Okay, so
right.
actually, this is a very interesting question. So we're talking about thinking of, the future, and someone's asking, how much do I actually need to save for retirement?
It's really a very personal definition, no, of what your
Mhm.
lifestyle should look like, which is
Yeah.
why defining the amount has to be from a very real situation, no. So I will not answer that in a straightforward manner. I cannot quote to you an amount, but if you just look at your life now, no, step back, and think of that future life as, ikaw ba ay mag-isa in that future life? Will you be continuing to actually take care of somebody else financially? Will you actually have a partner in life that you're anticipating? Pero I shared nga earlier, ang women, we outlive the men, no? By an average of 5 years, 'di ba? Eh kung wala ka ng kasama, so lahat ng anak mo wala na, maybe single ka, no? You chose a blessed single life. I'm all for that, You are single, you are just going to take care of yourself. How will that life look like? How much will you need to be able to live comfortably? And I'm not just talking about basic necessities. Maybe you want to set aside money because you will be traveling once a year, no? Sometimes you will want to meet your friends. Maybe you want to meet them once a month. How will that look like? No? So para kang gumagawa ng budget for yourself. A Kathleen Francisco budget in the 20 years Kathleen Francisco. No, 20 years from now, that Kathleen Francisco, what kind of life and what spending you will have in that period of time. And what's the amount attached to it? Ayan. So pag in-add up mo yan, and by the way, ang aking advice also is dapat walang kasamang debt. No, 20 years from now, si Kathleen Francisco version 2.0, no? Wala nang debt, no?
Of course.
May credit card pero paid in cash, no? So lahat yan out of the way, hindi kasama sa sakit ng ulo. Compute it. Compute it. Once that's clear to you, then that's the passive income that you should have, right? That's the flow of money that should come to you. And therefore, what should be the nest egg that's producing that? What is that capital amount that is invested permanently and producing the amount of money that you need so that you can live a comfortable life? That's my answer to you. No, I hope I could have given you a number, but it's very personal. No, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, and you did mention it a while ago, the way that you broke down the math. Start with how much
Exactly.
you want to earn, you want to live with in the
Yes,
future,
exactly.
and then do the math backwards.
Correct. So
Yeah.
for that example, it's 100,000, and therefore we are seeing that the nest egg has to be about 20 million pesos. No, you should have already set aside that amount of money. No, so it really frames and it gives you a defined target. Hindi ka nag-i-invest kasi ang hinahanap mo kita lang, yung most immediate kita for now. Yeah, but what's the long-term purpose of that? I think is the more important question. No, so good question. Thank you very much.
All right. Now, wow, we have a lot of questions coming in. Let's go in the
Okay.
next one. Okay,
Wonderful.
so yeah, the second one is how can I better balance risk and returns with my investments?
Very good question. Risk is always going to be there when we talk about investing. Kahit ano pa yung investment, basta investment yan, may risk na naka-attach ka agad dyan. No? But the longer you intend the money to be, no? If the purpose is for a period that is after so many years, no? And when we talk long-term, we're really talking here about 5 years and above. And to be more realistic about it, we're talking like a 10-year period. If the money that you are building is intended for that point after 10 years, after 20 years, the risks will not matter too much to you. Right? Why? Kasi nga, hindi mo siya kailangan agad eh. The risk na baka may mangyari dun sa pera mo is going to be of lesser importance to you. And this is the balancing act. It is of lesser importance to you because the need for it is malayo pa. No, marami ka pang chance para that money will actually get to the goal. Right? And that goal, if it's a big amount of money and your starting point is, oh my gosh, ang natatabi ko lang every month is 5,000 pesos o baka less pa. Iba ang pag-uusapan natin dyan. Baka dapat mas mahaba yung years mo ng pagtatabi. Mas mahaba yung years mo para mag-earn ka ng money. Or else, mas marami kang side hustle. Or baka dapat nagbi-business ka na. No? So maraming ibang considerations kung ano ang present time mo, ano ang ginagawa mo in order to set aside and start setting aside that amount of money for your time horizon future, no? The time-bound future. That's, I think, how I would define the balancing act between risk and return. Because the longer you have and the more manageable for your feelings the risks would be, you can afford to be focusing on specific investments that will have potentially higher return. I'm using the word potential because we all know basic knowledge tells us that equities are those kinds of assets because they are attached to how economies are operating, how companies are operating, etc., etc. That's where the highest possible returns could potentially come from, no? And they are highly volatile as well, depending on where the markets are that you have exposure, no? So, but if you can afford to do that, kasi well thought out yung goal mo, yung North Star mo, and all of the actions that are going to be attached to it, sobrang defined. Hindi ka matitempt to do certain things which will not be appropriate for that plan. Even the point of spending, you will think and rethink before the money gets away from you. Hindi ka basta maglalabas ng pera. Bakit? Kasi ang clear sa'yo nung target mo. 'Di ba? Lagi mong nire-remind yung sarili mo, kinakausap mo si Kathleen. Kathleen will speak to Kathleen 2.0. Kathleen 2.0 will be speaking to Kathleen 1.0 and saying, don't forget, you have a goal, 'di ba? You don't need that sale. You don't need to participate in that budol-budol sale. Don't need, right?
Tayo
Because
eh.
di ba? So it will just
Yes.
take away. It will take away from your what you wanted to already set aside,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I will respond to balancing risk and return. Again, very personal to you. It's how you feel and relate with your money, and more importantly, within the framework of your goal.
And a related question to that. So now, everyone's realizing that we have to do something about this. Someone actually asked,
Oo.
what can I do differently naman this year daw to meet their financial goals?
Uy, galing. Okay.
Yeah.
So kung tinatanong niya ng differently, ang aking assumption diyan, nagsa-start na siya mag-invest, no? Nagsa-start na
Yes.
siya mag-invest.
Mm-mm.
You know ladies, and I'm not going to say this just because ATRAM has many funds, we're fund managers and all of that. But the real truth is, and i-admit na natin, kung hindi tayo nagsispend ng time to play the stock market at hindi natin yan expertise, wag na nating pilitin. No, work with the professionals. Take the right funds that will make sense in your goal. No? And make sure that you have a diversified set of choices. Hindi 100% ng exposure mo, for example, is nasa equities, local at global. No? You also have to think about having the safer havens. No? Ika nga, the safer havens. And this year, in 2022, we already all know that rates are about to go up. No? Rates are about to go up. So yung mga bonds, positioning for the bonds will actually make sense. But buying a particular bond may not make sense. But buying or investing into a fund will make sense. Why? What's the difference? Yung fund manager ang bumibili ng mga different bonds in the fund. Right? Siya ang pumuposisyon, siya ang gumagawa ng active management, siya ang nagbabantay essentially ng pera mo. No? And if you have a diversified portfolio, if you have the allocation that will be required to meet your goal, no? And maybe, if your goal is very big, very high, you will really still have an allocation that is largely equities, probably about 70-80% of your exposure will be in equities, but you still would have about 20-30% in fixed income. Pero I would strongly suggest go with funds. Have a few of the stocks. Maybe you want to participate in any particular, blue chip, large corporation, a little bit of exposure, dividend paying. You like the dividends. That makes a lot of sense. But don't dabble in it if you are not an expert in it. No, rely on professionals to be able to do that for you. So that's what my advice would be. Ganyan yung pag-structure mo this 2022, no? Be more deliberate in designing it to be diversified. Do not just say na, no, I want it safe, kailangan naman all bond funds. Puro bonds naman, mali rin yun. Mali rin yun. Kasi pag kinumpute mo yung returns mo sa bond fund mo, hindi ka rin makakarating sa goal mo. No? So talagang dapat balance yan. Have a combination of all of these. While you're setting aside the money, you are actually completing it in terms of a personal allocation. Kung saan yung money mo ngayon at saan nandoon ang momentum, no? That particular fund is in the space that has the momentum. Then put more money behind that because you're well positioned. Pero ito yung secret. Pag yung market, pamahal na ng pamahal ang pagpasok mo ng pera in that market, it is better to actually start realizing some gains. No, lumabas ka muna, seal the deal, keep that money already as part of your nest egg. Remember, you are building for your North Star. Again, no, it always goes back to it. You're building for it. So kung nag-umpisa ka in a year, maybe you started in 2020, meron ka ng nest egg of, I don't know, 20,000. Pag nag-realize ka ng gains itong 2022, no, once you see that you have your target has been met on how much is the amount that you want, seal the deal already. Redeem it. And then if there is an opportunity now to look at another fund that is just picking up and you want to be well positioned, you read some of the insights, no, of Atram, you have fresh funds, you just got your bonuses, etc. If that is what you are, that is the situation you have, then put in that fresh amount of money in where the funds will be a great entry kasi it's cheap, mura pa. Okay? Ano ngayon nangyayari sa ating PSEI? Bumababa ulit. Is this the time to run away? No, it's not. This is the time na kung may pera ka at hintay ka na ng hintay, kung kailan ka papasok, ito na ang time mo para pumasok. Kasi meron na ulit opportunity. Diba? May opportunity na pumasok ulit. Kung pumasok ka nung 7,300, huwag ka nang magalit sa sarili mo. Kasi tapos na yon, nakapasok na yon. Remember, your goal is what? 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Okay lang si 7,300 na pasok. But if it is at below that, it's 6,900, meron kang money from February sweldo, from March sweldo, pasok ka na ulit. Diba? Regular and consistent investing will come back to you in a positive way. No? Because you will hit the highs, you will also hit the lows. So on average, you will still be benefited, but that by that kind of very consistent way of doing your investments.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, in relation to that, Marcy, actually, someone did ask, kasi you answered it na eh, kasi someone asked kanina, is investing in stock market a good investment? And will you suggest for us to invest directly into the market?
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Yes, no, absolutely yes. But yun nga, lagi kong kina-clarify yan na, I mean, syempre Pinoy tayo, di ba? I mean, we should be investing in our own market, right? We should not be afraid of our own market. We should learn it, no? We should understand it and come in and participate. But I would also caution that na kung ikaw hindi mo naman nababantayan yung markets, mag-equity fund ka na lang. No, that's my first advice. And second nga, if you still want to be in the stock market, look for the ones that pay regular dividends, right? Because even if that, for one, dividend-paying stocks mean that there is stability in those kinds of companies, especially kung talagang matagal na sila in their industry. They're known to be able to have a history of regular dividend payments and all of that. That would be a great idea kasi kahit paano, there is real income that will come from those kinds of stocks. But kung hindi rin lang ganyan, you are also not sure why you are investing in a particular stock. No, it's not even in the PSEI basket. It's not part of that size of a company in the Philippines, and you didn't really deep dive and understand how the company is earning, expanding, growing, how will it grow year on year, etc. Wag na lang. Rely na lang on the experts, no? And the experts will surely be able to take care of you. And of course, you have to know also who the experts are, no? There are many now, there are many players in the industry. There's always good strengths that they have and some weaknesses that they have. You make sure that you study that, no? And then once you have tried them out and you see that the performance is in accordance to your North Star, to your goal, then continue dealing with that particular asset manager. Okay, I hope I was able to also further share some insights on that question.
Okay, thank you, Marcy. Actually, someone also asked, she said that she's a mother of 3, and then she tried investing in stocks, pero she found it too volatile and unable to monitor. So, yeah, what can you say about that? And kasi a while ago, you're talking about how you can maybe like ask na help from a professional, diba? If you don't really understand what's going on.
Correct. No? So, and even if you don't have that professional, Atram itself is the professional, no? So if you really just you're not comfortable to do this with another person, and you want to do it yourself, you want to learn. Tapos mother of three ka pa, 'di ba? Ang unang milestone ng mga kailangan mong pagtabi ay ang iyong mga anak, no? And I'm sure as a woman, inuuna mo talaga 'yan, no? Caregiving self muna ang tinitingnan mo bago yung iyong personal self, right? And that's just fair. So it's important that if you will do a safer, more professional approach to investing, I really will encourage na wag ka na munang mag-direct stocks, no? Unless na nga the stock is already going to be a choice you will make, a very special choice you will make because of the dividends and the regularity of dividends that it pays, no? Mag-fund choice ka muna sa equities. And I will really encourage that if your North Star also is very, very clear, magkano bang gusto mong itabi for your kids? 2 million each? 1 million each? Ano bang pinagtatabi mo? College nila? No? So maraming ways of looking at that. Kung ano man yung North Star na yan at yung immediate goal na yan, magkano ang tinatabi mo ngayon? Ano ang pwedeng returns ng mga itinatabi mo? At yan ang titingnan mo over the next few years. No? And as much as possible, kung pwede, your time horizon is a minimum of 5 years so that you can get the most benefit, and you will go through the correct number of cycles on the way the market is moving. No, that will be something I believe will help educate you. It will make you feel more comfortable, and also it will make you now more confident. No, over time you will be a more confident investor. So I hope, mother of three, we were able to further emphasize and respond as well to your question.
Yes, hopefully. Okay, now Marcy, ito naman. There's a question saying, what do you suggest for a component of a solid investment portfolio for a woman? Is there a difference? Yeah,
Alam
oo.
nyo, sa totoo lang, walang difference. Walang woman, di ba? I started nga my talk. Ano ba to? Bakit ba in any market, in any country, laging ang tingin sa mga babae, niche market, niche daw tayo. Alam nyo, the niche part is because for some reason, the nurturing side of us is also giving our brain a lot of anxiety around money. No? Parang ang feeling natin, wala tayong karapatan to produce the money, wala tayong karapatan para magtabi ng pera, and we carry so much guilt in setting aside money for ourselves.
Yeah.
No? So, yan ang hurdle that we should take away because the investment is one and the same. We do not need to have a very different one. Again, I will go back to the choices are the same, but the approach is personal. Right? Why is it personal? It's not because you're babae. It's because it's very clear to you what is the nest egg you want to build. Right? Kung meron ka talagang anyway, meron ka namang partner in life na magpo-produce ng pera together with you. No? Hindi ikaw nag-iisa. O kung si mother of three, meron ding father of three na kasama. Right? Nest egg nyo naman yan together. No? So kung meron kang kasama, maiiba yung North Star mo. Maiiba ang goals mo. Kasi dalawa naman kayo na magbibuild. So liliit maybe yung part mo of it, liliit. No, yung responsibility mo to contribute to that nest egg is mas maliit. Therefore, you can probably afford to be a little bit more moderate in the risks that you're taking or a little bit more conservative. No, kung malaki na yung amount to start with, yung panggagalingan na amount, meron ka ng feeling of preservation, capital preservation na naka-attach dyan, you can approach it from that way. And maiiba ang iyong approach to the whole portfolio. But a solid portfolio can never be just focused on one kind of asset. If there's one thing I will advise everybody, it has to be asset diversified. Ang pinag-uusapan po natin dito ay hindi ang pagpipili na kung saan bangko mo ilalagay. Dahil kung marami kang bangko at lahat ng placement mo, pare-pareho lang. Lagi kang nasa equities lang in the Philippines. Lagi kang nasa balanced fund. Pero iba-iba lang yung bangko. Actually, hindi po diversification yan. Okay? Ang diversification is really to craft a resilient portfolio that has all the assets present in it and a well thought out allocation for each asset. And last but not the least, to go with that solid portfolio that you want to build, you have to have an internal target of return. Hindi po tayo pwedeng greedy. O sa sobrang excited na nagra-run up ang particular fund, oh my gosh, yung aking smart index fund, ang taas-taas na. Yay, fantastic, hello. Continue pa ako. Ay, bumaba. Ay, hindi ko na-realize yung gain. Na-erase na siya ngayon, araw-araw, hindi na ako makatulog, whatever. But if you had an internal target, no, for each of your funds, diba? The North Star has a compounded rate or an average rate of growth, 6%, 7%, 8%, whatever that is. Pag na-achieve yun, edi mag-realize ka na ng gain mo, diba? I-add mo na siya to your available money. Okay? So, yan ang aking advice. Ang daming kailangang isipin, ano? Baka pwedeng ma-overwhelm ka. Tapos, oh my God, ilang beses mo bang papanuurin ang video na to para lang maalala mo lahat? So, which is why I also encourage, if you have a trustworthy, a financial advisor that you can work with, not somebody who's just selling you insurance every single time na magkikita kayo. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about really somebody who will be a partner in your investment journey, no, a professional in your investment journey. Do that, no, establish that kind of relationship. By the way, we do have independent wealth consultants in ATRAM. Their names are actually in our website. Their pictures are there as well. You know, you can let us know if you want to meet any of them. Drop us a note. And then we will refer you to them. These folks are people that we've studied their profile. We know how great they are. They've had successful relationships. They've been guiding people through this journey. If you want their help, we can patch you up with them. You can make that arrangement. Para hindi kayo ma-overwhelm, no? You will be helped in actually having a structure to do things. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Marcy. Here, interesting. For women, kasi di ba kanina you mentioned na maybe you're not the only one who's going to, shell into the pot of investment money.
Correct.
There's a question here. I think it was a follow-up. For women, do we count the money na binibigay ni hubby monthly sa passive income namin? So, ayun. How do they take into consideration naman what hubby can give into the investment?
Natawa ako doon kasi habang buhay ang asawa mo at nag-generate siya ng income, hindi yun passive. Kasi, di ba, that's money in your marriage partnership pot, di ba? Tapos, dyan ang gagaling yung pinagkakagastosan nyo rin, no? So, I will come back to you with a question instead, no? Pag kinumbine mo ba yung kita mo, I will assume working woman ka, pwedeng working ka na meron kang online business of some sort, no? Or talagang may business ka talaga on the side, or pwedeng empleyado ka rin. Tapos siya naman, corporate person talaga siya ever since. Yung inyong combined na pera, starting point is, ano ang mga gasto sa bahay, no? So ilalabas na natin yon. Yun na yung pinag-uusapan natin. Where do you spend? So dun din manggagaling sa combined pot na yon, ano ang gusto nyong itabi? No? Ano yung gusto nyong itabi together? There are two life stages kasi that are really involved in this picture, no? What do I mean by the two life stages? Yung life stage na mga parents pa kayo and you are responsible for the life of other people, which are your children, no? And it's possible also you could be responsible for the life of your parents. Which very sad nga, bakit nangyayari yon? Kasi potentially hindi rin nila napaghandaan ang kanilang retirement Period, no?
Yes, it's very
Uh,
possible.
Oo, natapos yung kanilang earning capacity, nakuha nila yung mga retirement money nila. Tapos ngayon, SSS retirement money na lang ang nakukuha nila, which is not really much. It's not almost nothing, right? Hindi nakapaghanda, no? So yun yung stage 2. At some point, yung mga anak mo, hindi mo naman magiging responsibilidad na yan. No? So meron kang pot of money naman na kailangan para sa inyong dalawa. And then the last one is, pag wala na siya, paano ka na? No? So ito yung stages na talagang, kumbaga potentially meron kang North Star at a certain stage, which is until after the children go and take care na of their lives. And then the next stage is kayong dalawa, you're both still alive. And then the goal at the end, which is mag-isa ka na lang. No? So kung very well defined yan, that is essentially how you will define what is passive income. Passive income is income you don't need to work for. It's your money already working for you. So kailangan mo ng kapital para yun yung money working for you. What is that capital you're building towards? And you can build it. It doesn't have to be na meron kang 1 million pesos kagad na seed money doon. Hindi necessary yun. Yun lang nga, very realistic ka. Gaano katagal yung runway? Ilang taon pa para magtrabaho ka para ma-produce mo yung capital? Kasi yun ang ikikeep mo na preserve and you are counting on passive income from it. Returns from the investment. Okay, I hope I was able to clarify that, mommy, no, what's this? Wife receiving income, no, from the husband. And really, guess what? I think this is so obvious. Kung makakatulong ka as the wife, no, to generate an additional income, yung income ngayon ng husband mo na dumadating, no, to take care of everything else, is now for the household potentially. Tapos yung income na ikaw ang nagge-generate, pangtabi ninyo yun, pwedeng ganun. No? So you can think of it in that way. All right?
Thank you, Marcy. Okay, now that someone naman asked na, I don't think she has her own family yet.
Okay,
But
very
of
good.
course, eventually she'll be thinking of that. So
Yes.
maybe as your personal story, during your early years now as a woman, what money mistakes do you wish you would have known before experiencing it? So what are your tips to younger women so that they don't make the mistakes, the usual money mistakes in the
Okay. Nasa 50s na ako ha. So yung young ko 30 years ago na yun ha. Okay. Okay So I mean, just put it in context.
Yes, yes.
Number 1, huwag ka mag-credit card. Okay? At kung meron man, pay only what you spend only on what you can pay every month in full. Because that is where you can have a grave mistake. You will be easily tempted, the plastic, and now everything's online. Yung credit card mo naka-register na dun sa site. Nako po, that
It's
is
so
even
easy.
worse. That's
a struggle
worse.
talaga.
Yes, that is worse. Okay. At the end of the day, all of those logical decisions are attached to a more in-depth understanding of yourself, no? Of yourself. Sino ka as a person? And always to a young person, I always say, ano ba ang tingin mo sa sarili mo? Gaano mo ka-accepted ang sarili mo? Kailangan ba ng marami kang material things na kailangang bilhin para lang ma-lift up ang iyong positive image of yourself? Do you need to really be defined by how you look, where you go, what pictures you take, what coffee you drink, what activities you do and spend money on, etc. Really? Is that really what you are as a person? No? Because if that definition is very clear to you, the spending will be managed. It's a consequence of how you think, right? And in the spending, I'm not saying you shouldn't be spending, you could be spending. You know what? Maybe what you should be spending on maybe at an early stage is on things that will earn more money. No, you're using maybe your credit card kasi you buy goods but you actually sell them. I don't know. Maybe that's how you're looking at it. Spend and bring out the money if whatever you're spending on is a multiplier. It is not just a spend. It doesn't stop with I acquired and that's it. Lost it na, right? So that's my tip. That was my gravest mistake. It took some years for me to be able to learn and to actually resolve that in my past. And I'll share with you very quickly, Kathleen. I hope you don't mind. I'll spend lang a couple more minutes. Sometime in 2017, I've made the decision that I will live in my, adult life at this age, 2017, I will give myself cash allowance and I cut all my credit cards. Not a single one
Everything
available.
gone.
Gone. Para
Okay.
akong smoker na
Turkey.
cold turkey. Okay? And 90% of my salary I set aside. And it's being invested. And pinagsisihan ko na 2017 ko lang yun ginawa. Kasi siguro
Gotta
kung
start
ginawa ko
early
yun,
talaga.
kung ginawa ko yun 10, 15 years ago, retired na ako siguro by now. Tapos itong ginagawa ko for you guys, ginagawa ko na lang to kasi passion ko to. So, you know what I'm saying? So, it's really about that. I think it's knowing who you are and who your core is, how much you love yourself, what is the positive image of who you are to you yourself, so that you are not tempted by all the messages around you that's
True.
attacking you from the point of view of asking you to spend on a whim, a nothing planned, nothing well thought out, etc. So yun. So I until now I keep myself to an allowance. To be honest, I rethink and rethink. I check out Lazada. I keep parking stuff.
You never
Parking
check out.
stuff. But I never check out.
It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling of, just wanting to go shopping.
And
Window shopping, kumbaga, diba?
yes. And then you set it aside and then you realize 2 weeks later, when you go back, hindi mo naman kailangan, di ba? O de erase. Ganun lang,
So,
di ba?
let's not be victims to that, ladies. Mahirap na.
Don't accumulate that para marami kang extra money to invest. Money to invest. That's what it does for you if you lessen the spending.
Actually, Marcy, we need to wrap up soon, but I feel like there's this one question that everybody's probably asking. And it was actually asked. Maybe we can just quickly answer it lang. What is happening right now to the world? Diba? We have this whole Ukraine conflict. So someone was asking, is it a good time to invest now in the stock market? Or is it still okay to invest even if there is that Russia and Ukraine conflict? So really quick lang, what can you say? And maybe add your last words na rin.
Okay, sure. I would really advise that bago ka mag-jump into the market, can you check first where you are exposed to right now? Okay? So hindi ko ina-assume yung nagtanong yan, hindi ko ina-assume, and for many of those that have that in their mind, meron kang extra money ngayon, take a look at all of your exposures first at this point in time. Okay? So that's number one. Because if you have an understanding kung ang exposure mo nasa a certain set of assets lang, baka meron ka ng global equities that you have come into, pero it was during the time of 2020, towards the end of the year, or 2021, medyo mataas talaga ang pinanggalingan yan. But if what we're talking about is not to touch anymore all of those that you could have some unrealized losses at this point in time. Right now, I mentioned it a while ago already, it's great to come into local equities. That's one thing. Why? Because in reality, yes, we will be kind of affected by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and we're kind of feeling it now as citizens in the Philippines because of the impact on oil prices, which will reverberate and also impact maybe our consumer goods and all of that. But the question is how long that situation will be. No, so and more often than not, I mean, there was a very recent development that there's an indication that possibly there could be a peaceful conclusion, no, to this. There will be some negotiations done between, the two countries involved, and therefore it will lessen the impact to the whole world, including the Philippines. So local equities, I would strongly advise that you consider and look at. There are select sectors in the global equity space, I think, that should also be looked at. Global financials would be one of them. Why? Because we are already anticipating, and lalo na now with Russia, Ukraine, it will drive up inflation, and therefore the decisions to be made around increasing rates that will have an impact on bonds. For example, sino magbe-benefit in increasing rates? Global financials, no? The companies that are in that business, in that sector, will actually definitely be benefited by that, no? Their corporate earnings. So that could be also a very good exposure to investors, no? Think about also exposures to alternatives if you have that possibility. Global REITs, local REITs that pay dividends on a regular basis would also be something that you should have an exposure with. Although, to be honest, REITs could be impacted by rising rates kasi yung bonds would have probably higher rates than what is being paid by the REITs. But if it's not, and it's the right balance for you, that income is going to be useful to you. It's well aligned to your goal, to your North Star. That would also be a good possibility for you. If you will have access to investments that exposes you to commodities, that will also be important. Why? Because this whole crisis is about, it has a direct impact to supply. No, Russia and all of the sanctions that are being placed on it by the NATO allies. The world is in a sense punishing Russia for its act of war, which is not acceptable, not to any country. But the reality is, it is a producer, of oil. It is a producer of wheat, a soft commodity, which is part of some of the countries in the world in the way they usually eat. All of that, what is consumed by the world. So if you're exposed to investments around commodities and commodity prices are rising and so on and so forth, then you will be benefited by that. So those are the possible ways that you can look at it. But again, never take this into a boxed perspective. Hindi yung sinabi ko, yun na yung gagawin nyo kasi sinabi ko. Hindi, it's always in the context of what's your plan? What is that goal that you have on the long term? What is your current exposure? And all of these decisions, how does it look if you have an allocation plan that you follow? So that the returns, the overall returns that you want to get, meron kang konting losses dyan, pero meron kang mga nagkakaroon ng returns. Overall, net-net, are you still going to be with a return that is in accordance to your plan? That's my way of answering it, Kathleen. And I guess my last note, my last words. Guys, if you are just about to start investing, talagang start ka, beginner ka talaga, okay? I will encourage you to look at how your life was in the Philippines, March to April in 2020. Naaalala mo ba how much you spent while you were just inside your house? Okay? Bakit yun ang gusto kong tingnan mo? Dahil pag na-realize mo na yung lang ang kailangan mo, ang dami mong savings. That's my last point.
No, and really that's helpful because when she told me that, I was like, oh nga no. I'm really just, I'm living comfortably, but I have everything that I need and I don't need to go shopping kasi hindi naman ako lalabas. Diba? I don't need these new shoes. So yeah, thank you very much, Marcy. That's all the time that we have, and thank you so much for your time, Marcy. And of course, we want to thank our audience for spending some time with us this morning. I hope you guys learned a lot. We appreciate the time that you took out to join us here today. And we hope that you were able to gain insights and key takeaways from today's webinar. Now, did you know, quick fact, that for as low as 1,000 pesos, you can actually already jumpstart your investment journey. So this is how you can invest in ATRAM funds. Let's watch this video.
Hello. To open an account with Atraum, just visit our website at www.atram.com.ph. Here, you can learn more about all the funds and services that we offer. Our site will then guide you to our online investment platform, Seedbox, where you can start investing for just 1,000 pesos. But if you have more questions, visit the website's Frequently Asked Questions page or Atraum Academy page. Thank you.
All right. So you heard that, and I hope a while ago you guys were taking down notes on where to invest. If you have any further questions or would like to learn more about Atram, please do visit our website, www.atram.com.ph. So that's www.atram.com.ph. Now, before we end, of course, I'd like to say that, investing it can actually really feel confusing and quite overwhelming for beginners. But when you know which investments to focus on, the process actually really does become easier. So if you would like, please do join us in our live stream next week as we tackle the difference between UITFs and mutual funds. So what is it? Ano ba yung UITFs na yan? So aside from that, we'll also be discussing different funds that you can invest in. So maybe we can break down in more detail kung ano talaga what you need so that you can reach your North Star. Please join this live stream event by scanning the QR code that you can see here on screen, or you can also visit that link that you can see right below the QR code so that you can visit our Facebook page and visit our YouTube channel. And of course, click the subscribe button na guys para you can have, updates on what's going on and if there's a new live stream going on. So again, if you do have any friends who you think needed this webinar, who needed to hear it, but were unable to attend, please feel free to share the YouTube replay of this session. And of course, visit our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studio. And again, all you have to do is scan that QR code, just open your camera app, shoot that QR code and a link will pop out there. All you have to do is click it. So that's all you have to do to visit our official social media pages. Also, we would also like to invite you to join Atram's official Viber community group, which is #AtramPH community, to stay updated on the latest announcements, advisories, and reminders. Actually, guys, this is really helpful because they always post what's happening in the market. So it can easily advise you and maybe educate you more on what's really going on and where you should move for your investments. So again, scan the QR code or visit the link on the screen so that you can get a chance to win Atram merchandise as well. So lastly, super last ask, we're always thinking of you. And so please, if you could, answer the survey at the end of this webinar that we will be sending, because we'd love to know what your thoughts were on today's topic and how we can further improve and maybe tackle more issues that are that most of you are personally going through, and maybe we can answer. So on behalf of everyone at Atram, thank you again for your attendance and your participation. We would love to see you again in our next live stream and in the future, more to come. And we do wish you and your loved ones continued health and, of course, safety in these trying times. So have a great day, everyone.